All right. Welcome to Marist College Radio. Gary Bergraff, Jake Mack here on this Friday, wrapping up a disaster of a Jets performance last night. We were watching the game and shaking our head more than we expected to.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't good. We started off good.
First half was nice. I liked the way Darnold played in the first half. I mean, he wasn't definitely wasn't the way he played week one.
Yeah.
But he held his own. That's a tough environment, dude. You know what? Playing in Cleveland, I know those fans are hungry. 19 straight winless games at home, losses because they didn't have that tie.
They have more to play for.
They were ready.
Any win is like the Super Bowl.
They were ready, and that was their Super Bowl. I mean, they're not going anywhere. That was their Super Bowl. So it was a really interesting environment.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit about the play calling. We'll talk some Todd Bowles. Make some NFL picks. But I want to start off with a quick Darnold point. We'll go off of that. Sam Darnold is the youngest quarterback in the NFL, and to have to play 3 games in 11 days is hard to ask for anybody. And the NFL put the Jets in a position where they opened the season on a Monday night. They had to play the Sunday game back home against the Dolphins, then go back out on the road to play the Browns. Yeah. And to do that on a Thursday night is tough. Anytime you play on a Thursday night, it's tough. You got a short week.
It's a lot of pressure.
It's pressure. It was a wild couple of weeks for the Jets.
Yeah.
And to make it out 1-2, obviously, is a disappointment. But I think Darnold held his own. He's not the problem here.
No, I don't think Darnold's a problem. He, like you said, he's a young quarterback. He's a rookie, and he needs room to improve. No quarterback is going to step in and be perfect and make no mistakes. Every mistake that he makes, and I know a lot of Jet fans are talking. He's not making enough time for himself to get the ball down the field. He's making stupid throws and interceptions here and there, fumble, whatever. But every mistake that he makes is an experience. He learns from it.
Absolutely.
And that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, no, he's learning, and I love the connection between him and Josh McCown. That's something that I've been watching all year. First of all, Josh McCown couldn't have ended up in a better spot to end his career. I don't think he's playing any.
I think he wants to be. I don't think there's any other team that he would want to be with.
No, and I think this is perfect for him. And I've been saying all along he'd be the perfect quarterback coach next year. He's essentially being a quarterback coach right now. He loves Darnold. I've heard a lot of things about them having a brotherly type of relationship,
right,
even though there's like a 20-year age gap, which is kind of cool.
It's more like father-son.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
And he's in Jeremy Bates' ear all game long, talking to him about different play calls, and always when Darnold comes off to the sideline, first one off the bench is Josh McCown shaking his hand, giving him advice.
Right.
I think that relationship has helped Darnold too. You really, honestly, couldn't ask for a better quarterback to young quarterback relationship. If you look at the other 4 rookies, you have Flacco and Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, which Flacco's a Super Bowl winner, so that's a nice mix. But they're 2 different type of players.
Yeah, go back even further. Look at Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers.
Perfect. I was just going to bring that up. That's cool.
Yeah.
That was obviously huge for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. I mean, Brett Favre is obviously a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Sure, but so is Aaron Rodgers.
Josh McCown is also one of the smartest QBs in the league.
Sure, and
he's got the skills to back it up. No, but
he's been everywhere.
Right.
He's been everywhere. McCown had a great year last year. The Jets paid him. A lot of people said they overpaid for him. I don't care that they gave him $10 million.
You're overpaying to improve your rookie quarterback.
Sure, and that those $10 million, a lot of that came with intangible benefits,
right,
as opposed to what he's going to do on the field. I love that move. I love bringing him back. It's going to work wonders for them down the road.
Yeah, it will.
And if you see the other quarterback combinations, rookie and veteran, if you will, like Buffalo, Josh Allen and Nathan Peterman, I'm sorry, you'd be better off, learning from me,
right,
as opposed
right,
to Nathan Peterman.
Right.
Sam Bradford's been around a while, but I'm not sure how much he's helping Josh Rosen in Arizona because he's not even ready to play yet.
Right.
And then Baker and Tyrod Taylor's an interesting mix too, but I think Todd Haley's the one who's been helping Baker too. That signing in Cleveland was awesome as an offensive coordinator.
Obviously, Tyrod Taylor will have some impact.
Sure.
But, he's been in the league for a while. He knows the ropes a little bit better. He's more experienced. But, at the end of the day, Tyrod Taylor doesn't have the skills, and he can't really show him based on what he can do. He can only teach him by his knowledge.
Sure.
So,
yeah. No, completely agree with that.
This has bbeen the pattern in the NFL for years and years. Look at Bledsoe, Tom Brady. You have, there's so many combinations out there. It does impact your young quarterbacks.
Oh yeah, no, it absolutely does. And obviously, we were watching the game last night, and we were really, really pissed off as the second half progressed. But waking up this morning, I kind of said to myself, the people who say that the team needs to develop and that Darnold needs to develop, but it doesn't matter if you win. Last night's a game where you could have won
Yeah.
at the same time as watching him develop.
Right.
You know, they had to face some adversity. Both teams did, obviously, because Cleveland's quarterback went down and Baker came in. Obviously, the rest is history. But both teams had to face adversity. The Jets did. Couldn't really bounce back from it. And I think Darnold could have shown some signs of growth if he had led this team to a win. Obviously, that's asking a lot. Young quarterback on the road, national TV, like I said, 3 games, 11 days, the whole thing.
Yeah, but to be the team that gives the Browns the first win.
Yeah,
dude,
and that's something that will hang over Sam Darnold until next week. And he's gonna have to learn how to bounce back from that.
really fast to play Jacksonville.
Oh,
That's a big task.
yeah. Having to go to Jacksonville after a loss is huge.
We've really seen Darnold bounce back. He doesn't really dwell on his mistakes that much, but he's really gonna have to prove it this week.
Yeah, and
you're playing a very good team.
A defense that's going to be aggressive, a defense that he certainly has never seen before. Because between between Detroit,
Right.
Miami, and Cleveland, they're mediocre defenses. And he goes to Jacksonville. At Jacksonville is going to be a wild game.
And it's not really just a test for Darnold. It's a test for the offensive line.
Absolutely true.
We have a lot of young players in that offensive line. Well, not a lot. You have a couple here and there, and they're really going to have to hold themselves, and they have to give Sam Darnold time to throw the ball. That line cannot crumble from the second they snap the ball.
No, and the Jaguars have so many great pass rushers. I didn't love what I saw from Spencer Long last night. They brought him in.
Yeah.
They had a lot of expectations from him, and he played a decent game, but he's got a lot to improve upon. I know he's been hurt in the past, so we'll give him a pass for that. James Carpenter plays extremely hard every game. Love the guy. He's been fine.
Right.
There's a lot of room.
He did a very good job last night holding Myles Garrett.
I thought they did a good
job.
job last night. I thought the offensive line was okay.
Yeah.
It comes down to the fact that Darnold made decisions he shouldn't have made. First of all,
the interceptions.
That throw that he made, I don't know what he was doing with the Schobert pick.
Yeah.
I think the Jets hurried up to the line and called the play very quickly because they were afraid that great catch by Curse was going to get overturned. I think that ball did hit the ground. I don't know why they didn't review that.
He rushed that pass. There was not a Jet player in sight.
No, there wasn't. And I don't know why there was a play being called. I think that should have been a spike. If you wanted to get up to the line and make sure that Cleveland didn't challenge that player, I guess inside 2 minutes, a booth review, he should have spiked that ball down instead of rushing a throw.
Yeah.
Instead of just tossing it up there on first down. It just was unnecessary because that was a nice play, a nice throw that he made, a good connection, and it was kind of ruined.
Yeah.
I didn't love that decision.
Right.
What did you think about the fourth down at the end of the first half? They kicked.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I think that has to go on to Todd Bowles, though. I think I don't agree with his play calling there. I think he that's all on him, and I think he has to work on his in-game management.
Yeah, Bowles is. That's always been something that people have been concerned about with Todd Bowles. It
looks like he doesn't pay attention to the game.
Yeah.
He I know you were saying he just keeps a very dull face on him.
It's the same face, and I think Todd Bowles is great for the guys in the locker room. The players have respect for him, and that's great. But when it comes to in-game decision making, I don't know. I don't necessarily know I don't know what benefit the Jets get from having him as an in-game coach. He's a good motivator, I guess, in the locker room. That's what people say about him, and he's well respected and well liked.
Right. I think it's a big transition for Jet fans. Even you go from Rex Ryan to Todd Bowles, and that's night and day. And I think we wanted someone like Todd Bowles, more quieter, someone more soft-spoken, but gets the job done on the field. But get some fire under your belt, get the players amped up a little bit. When you go to halftime, come back a different team if you're losing. And I don't see that he does that. Not that I saw that from Rex Ryan either. But Rex Ryan still had that. He was very energetic. He got the players riled up and he got them excited. We don't have that from Todd Bowles. It's a very boring sight to watch our sideline. From the past couple of years.
No,
and
I agree.
If he can't get the job done and win the games that he has to win, he's out. And that leaves the Jets in worse shape because then having him. because you can't just fire a head coach.
Yeah, and that
You need to know that you're going to hire someone better than what you already have.
exactly, and I think that also is, like you said, it's gonna hurt the development of Darnold. And I think for a young quarterback to constantly go through changes in their head coach, it over time it's proven that just doesn't help.
Well, I don't know if it's going to ruin him right away. This is his first head coach.
Yeah.
Rookie season. If we change it once, we get it right, fine. That matters. But we should get an offensive minded head coach.
Absolutely offensive minded head coach.
We're done with defense. We've had way too many defensive minded head coach. We need offense.
Yeah.
We haven't had a good offense since you can argue 09 and 10.
Yeah.
But even that, like,
the offense was old then. That
was a free agency.
Yeah, those teams were not built with the minds on the future.
We bought that team.
Yeah, I mean, there's LT and there was the three receivers, Holmes and Braylon Edwards and
Jericho Cotchery. We drafted Cotchery 05.
That's fine. But those guys are not. Right. That was not a team that was built towards the future.
That defense, was brand new. That whole thing, that whole line.
Sure.
We got what? Jason Taylor, Trevor Price.
Imagine those
Ravens.
days, man. That
was our childhood.
Yeah, and that was cool. Those were cool teams that a lot of people are really forgetting about when it comes down to it, because
it's easy to forget about it when it's been 8 years of suffering again.
And it hasn't even been close since then.
No.
So yeah, we'll continue to talk some Jets. Also, probably touch on some other games around the NFL. But another thing last night that bothered me was the discipline. First of all, Robbie Anderson fumbling gave the Browns such great momentum. That fumble 2 weeks in a row now.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, he had a fumble in the first week that he actually got back.
Right.
But he's got to start holding on to the ball. Robbie Anderson has a ton of talent.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any denying that.
He does.
To put him with Enunwa, who, by the way, is the best player on the Jets right now.
Yeah.
The 1-2 punch right there is incredible. So Anderson's got to work on holding on to the ball.
Yeah.
He'll be okay. I thought the running combination with Powell and Crowell was fantastic.
I think Powell looks better now than he ever has.
I think Powell looks great.
And to have Crowell right behind him.
Oh, that's awesome.
You get Elijah McGuire that's coming back. I think that's incredible.
That's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
And, I think not just that, but I think all around the team, it's all health.
Yeah.
You get Marcus May back. That just makes his defense even better.
Even better.
And Jermaine Kearse, he's still limited. He didn't play a lot last night.
No.
He's on the snap count, obviously.
Yeah.
You get him back in the mix. You got Enunwa. You got Kearse. You got Robbie Anderson. Terrell Pryor. Fine. He can.
He's okay. He's come in as a fourth receiver.
If he's in there as a fourth wide receiver, he's not going to have a lot of people covering him. Everyone else will be on Kearse, and
he's okay with. I'm okay with Terrell Pryor as a fourth receiver.
Yeah.
Also, the Marcus May thing, having Doug Middleton back there, Marcus May will be a significant upgrade when he gets back.
Middleton didn't play
awful.
That bad. He didn't play that bad, but Marcus May, when he comes back, that's like having an Ed Reed and Troy Polamalu back there.
Yeah,
those are young players who are potentially greats.
And also put them with the two corners, with Claiborne and Tremaine Johnson, who Tremaine Johnson had a couple of rough breaks last night.
He's getting very sloppy.
I didn't love the fact that they gave the 15 yards to him, the 15-yard unsportsmanlike. I didn't love that. I think that was a great call.
Yeah.
But Tremaine Johnson, he's going to be fine. He's got to live up to the money the Jets paid him.
Right.
He's going to be okay.
And we'll see what happens. In a year or two, we're going to have to start looking for another corner because Morris Claiborne will not last much longer. He's old. So I think we have to do the best we can with what we have. But in the time being, Tremaine Johnson really has to play smarter.
He's got to play smarter.
He has the skills. We all know that. We wouldn't have given him money if he doesn't. But he plays way too aggressive, and he makes stupid plays.
He does. And I think Tremaine Johnson has a lot. He obviously was one of the most talented guys on the free agent market this year. I obviously love Mike McCagnon for doing that. He actually did a very nice job this offseason.
He's smart.
He did a good job.
He's a very smart general manager.
As much as Spencer Long kind of struggled a little bit last night, I think that's a huge pickup to bolster the middle of the offensive line.
Yeah.
Terrell Pryor, like we were talking about, as a fourth option is not a bad fourth option.
It's not.
Isaiah Crowell to give change of pace with Powell is fantastic.
Yeah.
I loved the signing with Avery Williamson. I love the signing with Tremaine Johnson when it happened. I was so fired up about that. He's got to shore it up, but he'll be okay. This is not a team that needs to develop.
We're not at the same point as we were last year.
No.
We've progressed a very long way.
Yeah.
And we're also having players that we've had on the roster for a couple of years, really standing out. Darren Lee.
Darren Lee's been great.
Has been
great point.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And you put him with Avery Williamson. I think that's pretty close to what
Jordan
we have with
Jenkins
David
too.
Harris and Bart Scott.
Yeah, Jordan Jenkins too is gonna be really nice.
Jordan Jenkins is very good.
He's good.
I think we're on the right path, and we have a few questions here and there.
Yeah.
I think we can both agree this is not the year for us.
No, but it doesn't need to be. And like I said before, people who say, "Oh, the win-loss record doesn't matter," I don't think any Jet fan wants to sit there and win 4 or 5 games just for no reason.
Right.
Well,
that's
I
the
think
thing.
this is a season they could develop at the same time as they get wins. They could win while developing. And,
Right.
and a lot of people lose sight of that, but they don't have a completely untalented team. And I think we pretty
don't.
much hit on that.
But how many years are you going to go with developing your football team?
No,
we've
that's the
been
point. Right.
developing since Joe Namath.
So you have to win. You have to win while you develop, and that's what's going to come down to. I said at the beginning of the season, and I'll say it again. I don't think now after this loss was crucial, but I saw 10 wins. I saw 9 wins in this team. I really did.
I did too.
And last night's a killer. But you still could have allowed Darnold to develop while you win games, and that's what people lose sight of.
I hate to say it, but it goes back to the same old Jets that everyone's been saying.
Sure.
We have the lead, but once again we cannot hold on to it, and it's very frustrating as a Jet fan, being a Jet fan as long as we have.
Sure.
It's just they cannot capitalize on their early success.
Sure.
That's also very key, because if they don't get the early score, it's the same thing. Then they can't come back.
Then they have to play
can't
from
win.
behind.
Right. And then they can't. We both know the Jets cannot do that.
No, and especially with Darnold, he still needs a little bit more time to be able to settle in and work comebacks and play games, play late, late in games.
Look at Peyton Manning, his rookie season. I think he was. I don't know for sure. I think he was tied for the most interceptions, or he had the most interceptions.
No, I wouldn't be surprised.
So it does happen. I'm not, fully disappointed with the mistakes that he's made, but take every game as a learning situation.
Sure.
And you got to come back the next week and learn what you did wrong, and then do better the next week.
It's gonna be a tough one.
He didn't do that yesterday. He didn't.
No, and I think he had some moments where, listen, I think we could both agree. I think a lot of Jets fans out there could agree. He had moments last night where you said to yourself, "Wow, this guy's going to be good."
Yeah.
And I think he has had
And
those
I think he
moments
will
in
be
each of
good.
those 3 games. I
I
think
think
he's
he
going to
will
be
be good.
excellent. I'm still a believer in him. I'm not going to sit here and, the slogan of taking the truck and throwing it in the water and go out and getting another one. You don't
Baker
need that.
played very well.
He was fine, and the Jets had to
However,
face adversity.
Yeah, but I in the long run, you want Sam Darnold. You don't want Baker Mayfield.
No. Sam Darnold is the guy. People want Sam Darnold to be, Aaron Rodgers right now. That's just a ridiculous expectation.
Yeah, and I think another thing that comes into place is the media, because the
It's New
media
York,
can
bro.
also, the media can also ruin you. The first game of his rookie season, the next day, the paper came out, Broadway Sam.
Yeah, exactly.
There's pictures of him with a fur coat like Joe Namath.
You have to calm it down with that,
And I think he's a very good quarterback to have that done to.
Absolutely.
Because he doesn't listen to the hype.
No.
And he doesn't read into what he is and what he has as a player. So I think that's very good. But it's a lot of things around him can be, ruining him as a player.
And let's be honest here, as much as he says he doesn't hear the hype and he doesn't pay attention to it, I'm sure he does. He's playing in New York City. You can't go anywhere. You can't even turn on your phone without hearing about Sam Darnold right now.
Right.
So it's a difficult situation, especially for the youngest guy in the NFL, youngest quarterback in the NFL.
Right.
Which is it's tough. It's tough for him.
Yeah.
And he's doing something that a lot of people didn't think that he would be able to do, and that is take a Jets team and at least make them competitive, because that's something that they have been in the last 3 games.
Right.
And I think they made the right decision with Bridgewater getting rid of him. I think
100%.
I think Darnold needed this. I think this has been helpful for him. But if you're looking at a team right now that needs to win, I think that's that would be my takeaway from last night. We can win while developing.
Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe we should have kept Teddy Bridgewater.
Give Darnold a year.
Give Darnold a year,
or at least a half a year,
or the whole. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater did amazing.
Yeah, no, he was really good.
And if something happens to him, fine. What did we get from a second round pick? Is that or a third round
pick?
A third. A third is very good. You want to build your team in the draft, obviously, but you're talking about a third round pick and comparing him to your first round pick from this year, the third overall. I think it helps Sam Darnold a lot to sit on the bench and learn and have Josh McCown point out to him, look what Teddy did here, look what he did wrong here, look what he did good here, look what he did good here. I think that's better than being on the field. Get rid of Teddy the next year. Let him prove.
Yeah, he only had a 1-year contract anyway. It's completely risk-free signing.
Fine, yeah, right. So have Teddy start, have Darnold sit on the bench. You have McCown with him. You have Jeremy Bates with him. I disagree with that.
So people who say last night the Jets did not lose because of Sam Darnold, do they win that game if Teddy Bridgewater is the starting quarterback?
I think they do. You have an experienced quarterback, and I think they do because Sam Darnold made a lot of rookie mistakes, which he should because he's a rookie. And I don't think Teddy Bridgewater would have thrown those interceptions. I think if Teddy saw that there were a lot of defenders and a wide receiver is getting double covered, you think he's going to throw it to there? No. He'll either throw it away, run for it, or find someone further down the field. I don't think
he's more experienced.
I don't think Sam Darnold can scan the field yet.
So another thing that a lot of Jets fans, as I've been saying, can relate to here. Do you think that Jets fans are now going to start rooting against the team? So now I got into a debate last night.
Not yet.
So people are saying now, okay, it's time to tank the season, whatever, this and that. I hope they keep losing at this point since the playoffs are out of the question. I don't know if that's going to help Sam Darnold. I don't know. I think, as I've been saying, you need to win. I think winning is the best way to develop somebody. I think you can win while developing. The team is not atrocious. The Bills have no talent on their roster. Josh Allen needs to develop, but they won't win more than 3 games this year. That's not going to happen.
It also doesn't matter what the Jet fans think right now.
No,
no matter if we root against them or not, the players
teams are going to go out there and win that game.
The players are not playing to lose the game.
Sure.
They're playing to win. They're getting money for this.
Yeah.
Everyone's getting paid. Jet fans are not getting paid to be a fan.
No.
So, at the end of the season, maybe they're not going to play as hard, but they're not going to play as hard to lose a game. They're not going to play as hard because they don't want to get hurt towards the end of the season.
Yeah,
they know they're not going anywhere.
Sure, and there's plenty of guys on that team who I just don't see slowing it down. There's plenty of guys who are playing for jobs.
Jamal Adams.
That guy wants to
You
play.
think he's going to slow down?
Darren Lee's had a great start to the season.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to let that slip
and
away.
They're also, towards the end of the season, they're also auditioning for other teams.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I don't have any doubt that the Jets will decrease their intensity on the field.
No.
I think the Jet fan in general, a lot of people will say, who cares if we win? We want a higher draft pick. But I don't think that will help Darnold as much as it should because I think he needs confidence. I think this team is ready to win some games now, even if they're not going to win 11 games in the division. That's not going to happen. I mean, for as long as the Brady-Belichick combination is intact, we know that's not going to happen.
Right.
But I think what will help Darnold the most is if they go out there and win 7 or 8 games this year and have something to build upon, I think that's going to help him. I think that people who say that the Jets should, just worry about developing and not worrying about the wins, I think that's an overrated take. I don't think that is true.
Right.
I think what will help him the most is seeing success on the scoreboard, winning games. He'll realize to himself that he has something to build upon for next year. Building upon an 8-win season is a lot easier to build upon than a 2-win season. There's no question about it. No question about it. No question about it.
Right.
So, it's going to be a rough ride. Next week's going to be even tougher playing against the Jags, but they get the Colts and the Broncos at home.
Yeah.
So,
and any like I said before, any experience, any win is good for Sam Darnold, and he's going to learn on top of that.
Absolutely.
So everything counts, and every aspect of the game counts right now. But again, a lot of the team's problem right now, and I'll say it over and over, is definitely Todd Bowles.
Yeah,
I don't like Todd Bowles on this team. I don't think he's a good coach. I never thought he was a good coach. He's not motivating. It doesn't seem like the players want
I
to
know.
play.
I've heard from a lot of people that apparently in the locker room he motivates. He keeps the team motivated.
Right. I mean, not every coach can be fiery. Like look at Bill Belichick, one of the greatest coaches to ever coach the game, and he's the same way.
He's not a smiler either. He's not really going to smile much.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. He's the same way Todd Bowles is, but something is not clicking because
the difference there is that Belichick can get away with it because he's such a winner.
Right.
And Bowles,
Tony Dungy's another one.
He was very even keeled on the sideline.
Yeah.
And I think the Jets need, and maybe we're completely wrong about this. I think there's a lot of people who love Todd Bowles in that locker room.
And coaches around the league who look at Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians can talk about Todd Bowles all day and just tell everyone how great he is.
Yeah.
But
that just betters his coaching tree too.
Right. But it wasn't just him. Todd Bowles is very well respected around the league, and a lot of people say when he talks, you listen. But something is not going right, and I don't think it's the players because I think we have a very good roster. I think a lot of it has to do with the management of our coaching staff.
Yeah, no, that it's hard to disagree on that front. But a lot of people also do forget that Todd Bowles coached his team to 10 wins his first year. He was here, and the Jets had that game up in Buffalo. If they won, they were a playoff team that year in a wide open AFC.
Right.
And that was it's kind of all gone downhill from there. And coincidentally, Ryan Fitzpatrick has kind of taken off once he's left the Jets this year. He'll come back down to earth. That's
Yeah. Well, it's Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
So.
But no, I completely agree about Bowles. There's something that he needs to change about his strategy, the way he manages the sidelines, the way the players are disciplined.
Yeah.
But if he keeps having respect in that locker room, I don't know if the Jets are going to move on from him. And I think that's something as Jets fans that we need to realize. I think he's going to be there for a while.
So how many wins will we have to have in order to keep Todd Bowles?
I don't think it's the wins. I don't think it's about the wins. I think it's about the players.
I disagree.
So if the Jets win, say they win 4 games this year, you're telling me that Todd Bowles is sticking around? He's gone.
He's gone.
Okay.
I think he's gone. You think he'll stay?
I do. I think the Jets are going to be very hard pressed to get rid of Todd Bowles. I think they're very afraid to just keep getting a new head coach year after year. I mean, not year after year. Now he's been there 4 years, but just to continuously, change the regime and change now it's going to be changing the defensive scheme.
At some point, McCagnon is doing so much for this team. He's managing the money very well. He's drafting very well.
Very well.
He's in free agency. He's a genius. He's not going after all these high-profile guys. A lot of the times, you can find just as much value in players who are not so high-profile.
Look at this kid Anderson he got from Indianapolis. He's been fantastic.
Right. So I don't think it's the players. I don't think it's Mike McCagnon. You have to look at the head coach. You have to, because the head coach, he's also hiring his coaching staff. And I know we were both talking about this. I don't like Casey Rogers. I think he should be gone. I think if we don't improve on last year with the 4 wins, if we get 5 wins, I still think he might be gone. I think if we hit 500, he'll stay. But I think he will be gone in a heartbeat. Black Monday always comes around, and I think Todd Bowles will get the boot on Black Monday if we don't improve.
Yeah,
I do.
No, Todd Bowles is.
The players are playing very well. If you look at it, I know we had 2 bad games, but everyone has improved since last year.
Yeah, no, they're very interesting in terms of the play calls, and something I heard some people talking about this morning, and we had touched on it a little bit earlier. The play, the second to last play that the Jets ran was that great catch that kept them alive.
By Jermaine Kearse.
By Kearse. Then Darnold hurries up to the line. First of all, it takes way too much time getting set. And then rushes a throw. If what was going to happen and you weren't going to be able to get your offense set and you didn't have an option on that play, why not spike the ball?
Because he's a rookie quarterback.
But that comes from Bowles and that comes from Bates.
It also more than that, it comes from experience. He doesn't have that experience.
And he doesn't have the experience yet to call.
It doesn't matter at that point. You see, at that point, I'm going to blame it on Sam Darnold, because you can tell your quarterback to do something, but he may not do it based on it when he's in the situation.
Yeah.
He obviously panicked.
I think but that play call needed to be spike, and I think all the way around on whoever is to blame. I think that play should have been spike the football.
Yeah.
Get your offense set. You did not need to rush a play there, and you rushed it. And listen, the Jets driving down the field, do we think that they're going to, with limited timeouts, going to go down there and score? They were at the 30-yard line. Do I really think the Jets should score in 70 yards in 25 seconds? Why not give your team a chance? Even though it's unlikely, give your team a chance to do it.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that it had to come down to the fact that he threw a pick that obviously there was no Jets in that area. That was just a mistake. He had nothing to do with the ball.
Rewind a little bit before that. Why couldn't we stop them from that last scoring drive?
There was something.
To a field goal.
That momentum was wild. The momentum was all on Cleveland's side. It was very
That's
tough.
when Baker first came in the game.
Yeah.
And they were all fired up. New quarterback.
Yeah.
They have all the hype around them. This is what they wanted from Johnny Manziel, and they never got it.
Exactly.
So, the fans were going crazy. The stadium was very loud. But I don't know. We really just did not do a good job holding them.
And that was having to go in there last night into Cleveland, 3-point underdogs. Everyone's ready to get Baker Mayfield on the field. They had the beer coolers in the streets ready to unlock them and let the city go nuts and the whole thing. The deal. It was a death sentence to have to go play Cleveland on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
It was that team. This was, like I said, this was their Super Bowl.
It also could have been a complete disaster, like it has been for every game.
Sure, and obviously the Jets could have been the team that kept the streak alive. You could have gone in there and won that game easily.
Right.
And they obviously
they looked good coming out.
Yeah, no, they looked fine.
If you say you hold them to that field goal, obviously if we didn't score, it would have went into overtime.
Yeah, no,
but. That was the game. That was the whole game. That one drive,
and also the Tremaine Johnson penalty that gave the Bills the Browns the ball back.
Right.
That set up that field goal, and without that field goal, they're shut out at halftime.
Yeah,
and we don't think Tyrod may not have come out of that game.
Right.
So, so many things you could point out. Last night's Jet game, they got to do better. They have to do better, and I think that's something the Giants fans have heard a lot from Pat Shurmur this week.
Right.
Even. During his interviews,
look at them. They're 0-2.
He hasn't given much for the fans to feed
off
of.
They don't have hope.
He's kind of just keeps reiterating the fact that the team needs to get better and work harder.
Yeah.
But who really knows how much hope they have? Interesting thought to think of until our show next week is who really does have more hope? Is it the Giants or the Jets? It's a city of teams that are really, really, really struggling right now.
I would say the Jets.
I think the Jets.
If you look at the Jets and you look at the Giants are in way better shape.
Oh yeah,
way better.
I completely agree.
You look at the long run. You look at 10 years down the line from today with the Jets. Look at 10 years down the line with the Giants. We just drafted a quarterback. They don't have one. Who's their backup right now?
Their backup is Kyle Lauletta, the kid from Richmond, who they drafted this offseason.
And what round did they get him in?
Late round, fourth, fifth round.
They don't. I know they obviously like him. They got rid of Davis Webb. They obviously see something that they like in him. But nothing. You can't promise anything.
No.
And you look at the rest of the roster. The Jets are on their way. The Giants has been the Jets from the past 8 years.
Yeah, and the drafting of Barkley, as great as he'll be, I don't know if you're going to be able to maximize his youth. Because you need to put an offensive him behind an offensive line that knows how to play.
Saquon Barkley is not Saquon Barkley without an offensive line.
He's a physical specimen. He is a great kid by everything I've heard. But what is he behind that line? I think that was a mistake. As much as they love Barkley, I'm going to always say that was a mistake. You should have drafted your someone on the offensive line.
They should have drafted Sam Darnold.
They could have drafted Sam Darnold, and Eli is showing his true colors. Yeah. I don't know where Eli is going with his career. I don't know how many years he has left. He's done it all.
At the end of the season, I've always said it. He's gone. Roethlisberger's gone. Rivers is
this
gone.
Season.
Yeah.
You think so? That whole draft class.
Yeah. The whole 2004 draft class.
Yeah. It's about time that those guys. They seem like they're always banged up.
Yeah.
So we'll take a couple minutes, take a short break, come back, do some NFL picks, and wrap up the show here on Maris Radio. Welcome back to the show. Gary and Jake Mack here. We'll get going with our NFL picks. Week 3 in the NFL after a disastrous Thursday night performance by our New York Jets. Hopefully we can kind of sit back and root for our fantasy teams, our survivor pools, or watch our Red Zone network, and kind of just de-stress ourselves from the disaster that was last night.
For
sure.
Change.
Absolutely. I'd like to see some other teams
So
win.
we're going to do some NFL picks for this week coming up. And the first one for me, I'm picking is the game Giants and Texans. And, I know we just kind of badmouthed the Giants, but they're 0-2. Texans are 0-2. I think the Giants have a lot under their belt to prove, and I think they're going to come out this week very fired up. I don't think no one wants to go 0-3.
No.
And I think we saw an Odell Beckham tweet last night, and I forgot what it said, but he was trying to get everyone very, hyped up for this week. Yeah, right. So, when we're comparing the Jets roster to the Giants roster, I want to compare the Texans to the Giants. I think Giants, they seem,
they can match up well with Houston.
They can.
I think they can.
They can, so I think they have a very good chance. Is it possible they lose this game? Extremely.
Especially on the road.
Yeah. So, I pick the Giants.
Yeah, and going off of that, obviously the key to that game, the great pass rushers in Houston, Merciless and Clowney, and the offensive line for the Giants has to step up.
Yeah.
If they can contain those guys, I think this is a game they can win. Definitely a game that a lot of people have already penciled the Giants in as a loss, but I agree with you. I think the Giants, especially as 7-point underdogs, I think they can at least cover in that game.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think a very safe bet in terms of winning the game, Minnesota 17-point favorites at home against the lousy, awful Buffalo Bills. Let's face it here, Buffalo has been a disaster.
Buffalo doesn't have a quarterback.
It's unfortunate that Buffalo has put themselves in a position that they have. Buffalo strikes me as a team who is very complacent. Last year they make the playoffs, and I don't think that they care that their team gets worse. I think they pleased the fans with a year in the playoffs, even though they didn't even show up against Jacksonville in that playoff game.
Right.
They're completely okay with just making it for 1 year, and they didn't do anything to revamp that roster. In fact, they got a lot worse.
Right.
So Buffalo on the road, 17-point underdogs. I am going to take the Minnesota Vikings in that game.
I think that's a no-brainer.
I think it's a no-brainer, even with the 17 points.
Yeah.
I would take Minnesota there. Another one, who knows what the Baltimore Ravens are? They're 5.5-point favorites at home against the Denver Broncos. Case Keenum is a guy who can play in the warm weather. I always had some concerns about him going to Denver, especially late in the season when the weather gets a little bit shaky up there. Playing inside last year in Minnesota really benefited him, but the weather is not supposed to be a factor on Sunday in Baltimore, so I'm going to take the Denver Broncos, whose defense has looked excellent so far this season, against the Baltimore Ravens, who struggled last week against the Bengals, and they did not look great. I think that's a team that we can see at least cover the 5.5-point spread, but I think Denver, I'm going to pick them outright to win this game in Baltimore on Sunday at 1 o'clock.
And to go on top of that, as a Jet fan, I think we're rooting for Denver to win because we play them in 2 weeks?
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. We want them to win because if they lose, they're going to be playing for so much more.
Yeah, I think that's something where it's so hard to go in and win 4 straight games in the NFL. And Denver's a team that I would be afraid to play if they're coming off a loss, because I feel like they're a team that's always
they're always a developed teem
for sure, and they also are going to go play the Chiefs the week before they get here. So a 2-0 Denver team right now, I think there's definitely a big difference than playing a 2-2 Denver team or 3-1 Denver team, because I don't think they can go in and beat Kansas City on the road. We'll see when that time comes.
Yeah.
But absolutely, I think that the Denver Broncos would be my second pick. And my final pick, this is going to be a really interesting game. Minnesota and the Rams. I think they're definitely the 2 best teams in the NFC. They, for sure, are, and this is week 4, by the way. Minnesota and the Rams next Thursday is going to be really interesting because I think both those teams will win this week. Rams at home against the Chargers, and the Vikings at home against the Bills, obviously, is already picked. And we'll wrap up that game next Friday.
Yeah.
But
So who do you pick for that one?
I think the Rams are the best team in the NFL, and I think it's impossible to stop Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
I think that team,
the Jared Goff and Todd Gurley combo.
that combination is
insane.
absolutely unreal. And I think by the time we're here next Friday, we'll be talking about an LA Rams victory
100%.
in Minnesota, in LA, on that Thursday night.
Yeah.
So those are my 3 picks. 2 of them are for Week 3: the Denver Broncos in Baltimore beating the Baltimore Ravens, and Minnesota at home against the Bills, covering that large, very daunting 17-point spread. And then next week, right before we get here on our Friday afternoon show, the Rams over the Minnesota Vikings. We'll be looking at a 4-0 LA Rams team dominating in the NFC West. That'll do it.
Yeah, well, it's fine.
Go ahead.
Comment on that real quick.
Take a quick second.
Real quick. I think those are very good picks. Just going back on that Rams Vikings game.
Sure.
They have so much talent on that team.
Absolutely.
So, putting Jared Goff in this situation this year, I think this is the most important year for him.
Sure.
Because he's been in the league for what, 3?
This is now that third year.
Year.
People always say,
Right.
it's that pivotal year. He had a rough first year, backed up Case Keenum for a little while, came in at the end, showed some signs.
Yeah.
Great year last year. This is the
Right.
third year. He's got a great team around him. You're right.
And I think with Sean McVay, I think the whole thing is Aaron
Donald.
Yeah, I think the whole thing. They have a very developed team, and if there's any team that can go against the New England Patriots, I think it might be them.
I think that would be a fun Super Bowl, and I think there's a lot of question marks in that AFC, but I think the NFC right now, Minnesota and the Rams, we'll see them next week, but as of right now, I don't think there's anybody beating those two.
Right.
All right, thanks everybody for listening. We'll be back here next week with the normal cast. Matt and Corey will be back. Jake and I will do a little Jets action earlier in the week.
Yep.
But until then, we will see you here on Marist College Radio. Thanks for listening.